بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. الكبيرة السادسة والعشرون، القاضي السوء أو السوء. قال الله تعالى: ومن لم يحكم بما أنزل الله فأولئك هم الكافرون. وقال تعالى: أفحكم الجاهلية يبغون. وقال تعالى: إن الذين يكتمون ما أنزلنا من البينات والهدى من بعد ما بيناه للناس في الكتاب أولئك يلعنهم الله ويلعنهم اللاعنون. الذهبي رحمه الله, الحافظ الكبير, says major sin number 26. He says the evil judge, the corrupt judge, the bad judge, the crooked judge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, and those or whoever does not judge and rule and give decision and verdict on what Allah has sent down, then they are the kafirun. Allah the Exalted also says, is it the ruling of Jahiliyyah that they desire? Do they want the ruling of Jahiliyyah? Allah the Exalted also tells us, those who hide and conceal what we have sent down, the clear proofs, the guidance, after it's plain and lucid for men in the scriptures, they are cursed by Allah and cursed by all of those who make curses. Hadith number 195. وقد روى الحاكم في صحيحه بإسناد لا أرضاه أنا عن طلحة بن عبيد الله عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال: لا يقبل الله صلاة إمام حكم بغير ما أنزل الله. وصح الحاكم أيضا والعهدة عليه من حديث بريدة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال: قاض في الجنة وقاضيان في النار. قاض عرف الحق فقضى به فهو في الجنة، وقاض عرف الحق فجار متعمدا فهو في النار، وقاض قضى بغير علم فهو في النار. He says here, Hadith number 195, Imam al-Hakim Abu Abdullah al-Naysaburi, who died 405 of the Islamic Hijrah, the great alim of Nishapur, the Muhaddith. He has a hadith in which he collects in his Sahih. He says here, والمشهور أن كتابه المستدرك على الصحيحين. المهم, Al-Hakim reports with an isnad, he says, لا أرضاه أنا. He says he has a chain of narration that I'm not pleased with myself. Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah was from those ulama who summarized the book of Al-Hakim, تلخيص المستدرك. فلهذا لما تقرأ في بعض الكتب صححه الحاكم ووافقه الذهبي. صححه الحاكم على شرط الشيخين ووافقه الذهبي أو تعقبه الذهبي. صححه الحاكم ولم يتعقبه الذهبي بشيء. هذا هو المقصود. الحاكم استدرك على شيخين أحاديث رأى أنها على شرطهما، أحاديث بأسانيد برجال بسلاسل. رأى هذا الإمام الحاكم أن هذه الأحاديث والأسانيد تفي بشروط الشيخين، فقال هذا يعني فاتهم إخراج هذه الأحاديث. هذا المستدرك. وطبعا هناك أحاديث فعلا شرط الشيخين، وهناك أحاديث صحيحة غير شرط الشيخين، وهناك أحاديث غير صحيحة، بل هناك أحاديث موضوعة مكذوبات في هذا الكتاب، والكلام في هذا يطول لماذا وكيف إلى آخره. هذا باختصار. فالذهبي رحمه الله جاء بعد الحاكم بعد القرون ولخص الكتاب وسكت على عدة أحاديث صححها هو وتعقبه في أماكن. هذا هو المقصود. الذهبي رحمه الله, he made a summary of the book Al-Mustadrak, a book in which this Imam said that there are hadith that fulfill the statements of Bukhari and Muslim, but Bukhari and Muslim for one reason or another didn't collect those hadiths. So he put them in his book, and he says, ala shart al-shaykhain. It fulfills their conditions, it fulfills their standards. So Al-Dhahabi, we said he died 405 of the Hijrah, and he's from Nishapur. Al-Dhahabi came hundreds of years later, and he made a talkhis. He summarized the Mustadrak, and he also agreed with him and disagreed with him in many issues. So that's what's meant here. And as we said before, the importance of Talib al-Ilm, learning Mustalah al-Hadith and Ilm al-Rijal, because even if he doesn't specialize in Hadith, he's going to read these types of books. So he's reading a book on major sins that you want to advise your community about and give them nasiha. What the heck does this mean? He's going to get lost. This has nothing to do with Hadith science. Kitab al-Kaba'ir. So it's one of two options, or three. First option is, Talib al-Ilm is going to just read it and be totally lost. Whether he doesn't translate it, whether he translates it and messes it up, he's just going to be lost. The second option is that the student knowledge is going to totally blindly follow someone who explains it to him. This is what it means. هذا يعني كذا وهذا يعني كذا. والتقليد لا خير فيه. التقليد لا يأتي بخير في حق الطالب، في حق العامي هذا قد يختلف. لكن في حق من ينتسب إلى العلم وينسب إليه فإنه لا يحسن في حقه التقليد. He's going to just blindly follow somebody and go with the wind. Everybody clear on this? We'll just suffice ourselves with these two scenarios. So even if you don't study hadith on a major scale, you still have to know the what? Basic terminologies. You still have to have a background of the different basic books. What is a mustadrak? What is hakim? What is isnad? You have to know these things. Khayr, inshallah. Talib al-Ilm has to be well-rounded. Has to be what? Well-rounded in all sciences. And then if he's talented enough, if you have enough time, which you actually studied and spent training, then you can go on to specialize in the field if Allah chooses that for you. If you're qualified for that. If you want that much, some people don't want that. And that's not necessary. It's not necessary for every person. Everyone doesn't have to specialize. You can be a person who's just a friendly imam. That's fine. I gave the people the khutbah. I lead the salah. I help them out with their marital problems, counseling the youth, and that's it. On Sunday morning, we have our breakfast, they have basketball, volleyball, I lead the salah, I have my house, I get paid, and that's it. I'll do that. That's fine. Wallahi. It's not mandatory for everyone to be able to, as we say. But the problem lies that when a person doesn't stop at that level and begins to speak on issues and talk about things and put himself in a position in which he is not specialized in, it's a problem. And in most cases, here in America, in most cases, that's what's going to happen with the administration. The administration is not going to suffice themselves with just a basic humble imam. No. You're now the imam, the resident scholar. You now read things, study things. Hadith, Inshallah. And hear the dhikr as well. Tayyib, Sahih. You're going to what? They're going to put you in a position in which you're going to be speaking and talking about something that you're not qualified for. And very seldom are you going to say, I don't know. I didn't study this. I didn't stay long enough in Egypt. I don't know. Very seldom. You have to speak on it now. We need you to speak on it now. We need you to talk on it now. Let alone talking about other people, and this goes on of problems. And that's what Umar radiallahu ta'ala said, as we mentioned in Masjid Taqwa on Friday, تَفَقَّهُ قَبْلَ أَن تَسُودُوا وَبَعْدَ أَن تَسُودُوا. He says, seek knowledge of the deen before you take leadership and after you take leadership. Seek knowledge of the deen before you become a sayyid and after you become a master of someone. Don't make yourself in that position unless you're qualified thoroughly, unless you're what? Armed, strapped. Don't stand on the battlefield. And also what? After you have experience in war, you continue to practice your aim, your draw. Clean, oil, grease. Make sure your tools are what? Ready for action at all times. There's no doubt about this. So therefore, this is what this means. He says that there's an isnad, la arbahu ana. I'm not pleased with. And before we move any further, this also shows us is that those who say that you can't differ with someone who's more knowledgeable than you, someone who's older than you, someone who came before you, these people are not people that are given to reading books, not intellectuals, people who talk like that. Oh, you can't differ with the sheikh. You can't say that. They're older than you. They're bigger than you. You can't say that. The sheikh knows more than you. Here, Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah says, Al-Imam Al-Hakim says, La ardahu ana. He says what? I'm not okay with it. Even though he came over 300 years before me, he changed the narration, so even though, but what? He says what? I don't agree with him. So these people who talk like this, they're not what? They're not intellectuals. They may have information, but they're not people that actually wish to use what Allah gave them of brains. They're not willing to do that. They're people of just talking, just kalam. Everyone understand this? And they don't really stand on anything. So he says here, we can mention 100 examples of this, in which the ulama of Islam knew what another imam said, who was the imam of that field. And he'll say, Junnah. He says, Fulan, Allah says, Aqad when he said that. I don't know what Imam Ahmed was thinking, what Imam Ibn Ma'in was thinking. We can mention examples of going on. And he's the imam of the science. And then still they say what? Malish. Everyone understand this? So these people who talk like this, they're not reading these books, unfortunately. And if they are, they're reading things with one thumb on one line and one eye on the other. Waliyadu billah. Hiding some of the scripture as we just read in the Salah. Unfortunately. So he says that Talha ibn Ubaydillah narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah does not accept the prayer of an imam who judges with other than what Allah has sent down. Allah will not accept this man's prayer. Khayran, inshallah. And he said this is not exchange what? Unacceptable. Number 196, and there's another hadith that Al-Hakim made sahih, and he says, once again, he says he's responsible for it. He said, oh sahih, not me. Narrated Buraydah radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet ﷺ said that there is a judge, one type of judge or judges that will be in paradise, and two types of judges will be in the fire of hell. He says, as far as the judge who will go to paradise, then is he who knows the truth, فَقَضَى بِهِ, and he passes the verdict accordingly. He knows himself, and that's what? It's the rule that he gives. He says, and as far as the two types of judges that will be in hell, the first is he who knows the truth, فَجَعَلَهُ, and he's what? He chooses the falsehood. He chooses the bribery. He chooses because it's my friend, my cousin, it's from my nation, my color, whatever the case may be. He chooses the fear of the people, and he falls victim to making a bad ruling, passing an unjust sentence. An unfair what? Sentence. Everybody clear on this? It's very important. He says, وَقَالٍ قَضَى بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ فَهُوَ فِي النَّارِ. And last but not least is he who makes judgment without knowledge. He will be in the fire. Even if he's right. You're not qualified to be a judge. You do not properly investigate and analyze and listen and think and pray and ponder and reflect. You didn't take the necessary walk around the park and look into the pond at the fish and the turtles, sitting at the trees, the birds, thinking, You didn't have the proper in. That's what people do. And they're going to reflect and think about something. He's gathering the things in his head. He said this, that, witness, I look in his eyes, he starts thinking. He reflects on the Lord's creation. There's no doubt about this. And things become what? Clear to him. We don't go too deep. I said, Mufti's Sufi. I said, look into the pond and get rolling. I don't know him. He says here, قُلْتُ فَكُلُّ مَنْ قَضَى بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ وَلَا بَيِّنَةٍ مِنْ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ عَلَى مَنْ يَقْضِي بِهِ فَدَاخِلٌ فِي هَذَا الْوَعِيدِ وَلِيَعْوَذُ بِاللَّهِ. He says, so everyone or anyone who gives judgment without knowledge, without bayyinah from Allah and His Rasul, based off of the verdict that He's giving, he's included in this threat. Let those beware. Fulan said it, doesn't matter. If it's not based off of what? Clear Kitab and Sunnah. وَلِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. وروى الشريك عن الأعمش عن سعد بن عبيدة عن ابن بريدة عن أبيه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قاضيان في النار وقاض في الجنة. وذكر الحديث قالوا فما ذنب الذي يجهل قال ذنبه أن لا يكون قاضيا حتى يعلم. إسناده قوي. Hadith number 197. He says Sharik narrated from Amish, from Sa'd ibn Ubaidah, from Ibn Buraidah, from his father Buraidah, radiallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah said, 2 types of judges will be in the fire and one will be in paradise. And he mentioned the hadith. The people were asked, what is the sin of the one who is ignorant? Of the judge that's in hell because he didn't have knowledge. What's his problem? He's a harmless man. He says he shouldn't be a judge. Now that's he what? Knows. And this applies no doubt to the people today who say when something is clearly wrong with what a quote-unquote scholar says, they say, why did the sheikh say that? Oh, I'm making an excuse for the sheikh because perhaps he didn't know, so on and so forth. You can't say that. No, you can't say there's ulterior motives. No, you can't say that. We're making excuses for the people of knowledge, without a doubt. That's their haqq upon us. But it's also their haqq to do what?
Clarify.
No. No.
Speak the truth.
Not to speak unless they have the proper knowledge. Not to clarify. If you do not know, Allahu Alam. I refrain from answering the question. Let me investigate. Give me some more time. But I have to say it every single time. And I don't even know who the person is. Wallahi, I can tell you stories of this. Someone has asked a question and said, I don't know who he is. I don't know. La adri. He says, nah, Sheikh, it's such and such and such. Oh, yeah, that's right. Nah. Just like that. Or I don't know who he is, but because you said this, so he's with them and he's with them and so on and so forth. Wrong twice. Everybody understand this? So, the whole concept of this compassion and making an excuse is good. But it's also the haqq upon the alim to do what? Refrain from things that he has no knowledge of. Everybody understand this? And we don't make excuses for something that's clearly, blatantly what? That's also not the way. Moving forward. Rahimahullah, Adhabi, he says, وَأَقْوَى مِنْهُ حَدِيثُ مَعْقِلِ بْنِ سِنَانٍ عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ما من أحد يكون على شيء من أمور هذه الأمة فلا يعدل فيهم إلا كبه الله في النار. He said the hadith is more authentic than that. It's the hadith of Ma'qil ibn Sinan. That the Prophet ﷺ said, anyone who's in charge of one of the affairs of this ummah and he is unjust and tyrannical therein, Allah will throw him on his face in fire. وَلِيَذَ بِاللَّهِ. وروى عثمان بن محمد الأخنسي وهو صدوق عن المقبوري عن أبي هريرة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من جعل قاضيا من الناس فكان مذبها بغير سكين. He says here, narrator Uthman ibn Muhammad al-Akhnasi, who is a fair narrator, from al-Maqbari, from Abu Hurairah, that the Prophet said, he who was made a judge, he who was put in the position of a judge, has been slaughtered without a blade. Has been slaughtered without a blade. He says, Jaydun. He says this hadith, لا بأس. أما إذا اجتهد الحاكم وقضى بما قام به دليل على صحته ولم يحكم برأي فقيه وقد لاح ضعف ذلك القول فهو مأمور ولا بد. He says here, as far as if the hakim, the ruler, the qadi, the judge, if he makes a ruling, he says بما قام به الدليل على صحته, based off of the evidence that he feels, that he believes, that he has confidence in, and he doesn't make a judgment based off of the view of this faqih and of that faqih, this imam, وَقَدْ لَاحَ ضَعْفُ ذَلِكَ الْقَوْلِ, and then it becomes clear that that view wasn't so strong, then he's rewarded. He's what? He's rewarded because he had sincerity. If he made a mistake, he gets a what? A reward. And his hour is forgiven. But that does not make the mistake what? Haqq. Everybody understand this? That does not make the clear mistake what? Haqq. Everybody understand this? It's clear that it's wrong. Shaykh Fulan has an excuse. Hafidhahullah. Perhaps, if it is, he's all covered. Labas. But that statement is what? That does not become an haqq just because he has an excuse. As many people with zealots, they're extreme. They say these things like, It's not. It's a fairy tale we're making up, unfortunately. He says here, يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا اجتهد الحاكم فأصاب فله أجران وإن اجتهد فأخطأ فله أجر متفق عليه. The Prophet says, the proof for what we just said is the Prophet statement. When the hakim makes ijtihad, there's not a clear ruling, clear dalil, he tries his best to figure out what's correct, to get to a sound conclusion. And he's correct, and he gets the rewards. And if he's wrong after he made his jihad, then he gets what? One reward. And other versions say that his sin will be what? Forgiven. That's how it is in Bukhari and Muslim. فرتب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أجر إذا اجتهد في الحكم فيما إذا كان مخلدا فيما يقضي به فلم يدخل في الخبر ويحرم على القاضي أن يحكمه غضبان لا سيما من الخصم وإذا اجتمع في القاضي قلة علم وسوء قصد وأخلاق زائرة أو أخلاق زائرة من قلة ورع فقد تمت خسارته وجب عليه أن يعزل نفسه ويبادر بالخلاص من النار. Adhabi Rahimahullah goes on to speak on this and expound on this issue, talking on the fact that when an imam, when a hakim, when a qadi, summarizing some of the speech, he says first and foremost he shouldn't make judgment when he's angry, especially over the person or at the person. He should not give ruling when the person is what? Angry. Calm down, relax. He says here, and when a qadi has the following things. Number 1, lack of knowledge. Number 2, poor intention, bad intention. Number 3, bad akhlaq, low base akhlaq, character. Number 4, waqillatu wara, and he has a supreme lack of extra piety. The wara. Not the halal and haram, but the wara is the what? Let me down. You sure? He just avoid this. He has none of that. He says, فَقَدْ تَمَّتْ خَسَارَتُهُ. He says he's a total loser. His khasara is tamma, it's complete. He's lost the ball game. Shaitan has him. He then says here, and it's mandatory for him to remove himself. And it's mandatory for him to protect himself from the fire. You need to resign. Go be a school teacher, go be something else, not a judge. It's not for you. If you don't have these necessary characteristics. Hadith number 201. وعن عبد الله بن عمرو قال قال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لعنة الله على الراشي والمرتشي. صحيح الترمذي. Last but not least, narrated Abdullah bin Amr al-As. He said, may Allah's curse, or Allah's curse is upon the one who gives the bribe and the one who accepts it. That's another concept and etiquette of these different issues. A judge is not to take anything from the people, even if they call it a what? A gift. Sadaqah. It's not to take them. Everybody understand this? Because it's a means of them buying you, putting them in your what? Putting you in their pocket, unfortunately. So this is a amazing concept of Islam, how Islam is so complete and perfect, and it dealt with every single aspect of life. And that it is a must for there to be people who have communities, houses, business, establishments. They grow in number, they increase. They're going to have disputes. They're going to have arguments. So it has to be what? Judiciary things. It has to be system. It has to be. As far as if you have a bunch of people all together, no law, no order, no system, it's going to be what? Anarchy, he said, chaos, unfortunately. And there are many people today, unfortunately, they think that that's Islam. They think that's the way. No, nothing, no system, no anything, just what? That's a problem. Huge problem. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. We ask Allah to remove all wicked judges, wherever they may be, in these lands or any other lands, and allow the truth to prevail. Wallahu ta'ala.
Imam, brothers, you guys have to be very careful. I saw the news. One of us goes to mosque, or so we come to mosque. You walk up and shoot